Hi everyone and welcome to Homerino Collectibles, where I haven't been uploading all that much lately this past week, so here we go, kicking it off again with the Marvel Legends Man-Thing Build-A-Figure. Now, I do definitely prefer DC's version of Swamp Thing more than this guy, just because of the more man-like head, and obviously this guy is actually called Man-Thing, so it's kind of weird that, I think that the names honestly should be kind of switched. But either way, even though the two characters are extremely similar and I do prefer the DC version, this toy itself is actually really good. Now it stands, let's see, 8 inches tall. And if you want to pick this guy up and the rest of the wave before we get going with this, you can actually pick it up from Big Bad Toy Store. There'll be a link in the description below. So if I bring in Bullseye from the same wave, you can see how he stacks up next to a regular Marvel Legends figure. So he's got some really good size on him. And that's the number one thing for me really for Build-A-Figures, is the size worthy of the price, because obviously Marvel Legends are going up in price these days, and so obviously you want a really good Build-A-Figure to benefit that, and honestly I think that this does definitely fit the bill. Now, no, it's not a super, A-list kind of character that everyone's going to want. I think a lot of people, aren't going to buy this whole wave for the Build-A-Figure, but the great thing about this wave is the fact that all the figures in it are actually really good on their own anyway, so I definitely think that a lot of people would have this Build-A-Figure just because they will get all of the other figures in the wave, which is fantastic. And what this figure does bring is, obviously, as you can see, a complete unique new sculpt. This guy looks incredible. Now, what I really do love about this, in fact, there's two things that I really do love. Number one is the fact that the way that they've made the torso and a couple of other areas on this figure is we've got like a hard plastic inside of it, but then on the top here, so it looks almost as though we've got like a Hulk body or something under there. And then on the top, this is actually like a kind of rubbery piece that sits on top. You're not going to see it flexing, but you can definitely feel it. It's like a kind of rubber shroud that's over the top of it, and I'm guessing that would have been cheaper for them to manufacture than having a whole new upper torso piece in a harder plastic. But just having a slightly different texture to the figure actually makes it feel, more like what it's meant to look like, just a bit more kind of squishy. And then the other thing that I really like about this figure as well is the detail that's on it, and that's both in the sculpt but also in the paintwork. So we've got this green, you can see in the shoulder joint there, that's the color of the plastic underneath, like the hard plastic, just a normal kind of Hulk looking green. But then we have this darker wash on the majority of the rest of the figure, some black in there, some darker green, and then we actually have some tan coloring in there as well on the arms, the hands, and then over on the waist right there. It looks really fantastic, and you can see is very asymmetrical. So, it's not symmetrical is what that means basically. So obviously you've got like kind of, fungus and stuff growing. You've got the vines all over the place. It does look really amazing, and everything is completely different. Now, one thing that is on this figure is actually there's a hole up here. That makes me think that you're supposed to peg something in, or maybe they intended for us to peg something in. Now, there is actually a line, like a mold line around it, like a kind of square. So it makes me think that either something like it was a peg or something that was going in there, like a block that was going in to finish up the mold or something like that, or maybe there was something that you're supposed to take out and then put something else in, or peg something onto his shoulder so that something's sitting on him. But there's nothing I can think of that should peg onto his shoulder, so I've got no idea why that hole is there. It is in that kind of hexagon looking shape that they normally make for holes on the backs of figures that have, pegs and stuff going in them. But there you go, there's nothing to put in there, which kind of sucks because it makes me think that Hasbro was actually thinking of putting something in and then didn't release it. So as for the articulation of this figure, because the neck sits forward as opposed to up and down, you get a little bit left and right and a little bit up and down, but not all that much. It's mostly just the kind of pivoting this way, which you're not really going to use. The shoulder comes out to the side, rotates all the way around. You've got the rotation at the upper part of the arm, a single jointed elbow, which as you can see moves 90 degrees, and then you've got the rotation and a hinge in and out at the wrist, which is pretty stiff on mine. You've got the rotation at the waist. You get one click back for the crunch and then all the way forward, which is pretty nice. And then coming down to the hips, they move out, forward and back, and this piece here is flexible, so it's not going to get in the way. Rotation there at the upper part of the thighs, double jointed knees. Again, here we have that kind of, soft plastic shroud around the figure, which actually has molding on the inside as well, so that's really nice and dynamic. But it does allow for the foot to move down and up, and ankle pivot as well. As you can see, it moves out of the way. So really good use, both for the looks and for the articulation with that softer plastic. I really do like the innovation that they've used for this figure. So because of it not being a super A-list character, I wouldn't definitely recommend that you go ahead and pick up the wave for this guy, but I definitely do recommend that you pick the wave up for those individual figures because they are pretty fantastic, especially if you're into those Netflix shows. We're getting a good Build-A-Figure, a good size Build-A-Figure. The detail and everything is fantastic. You know, whether or not it's a character that everyone actually wants, you can't deny that the figure is actually made really, really well. And so thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to check out my social media, there's links in the description below. If you want to go ahead and watch more videos, there's some on screen right now. And for more Marvel Legends, you can go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.